Your Excellency, President Yoweri Museveni, to make his statement. Okay.
Okay. Your Excellency, President Faure Ngasimbe, President of Republic of Togo, His Excellency Macky Sall, President of Senegal, the other leaders, former leaders, the Prince Michael of Kent, the Board of Trustees, the Brazzaville Foundation, the Board of Advisors, the Brazzaville Foundation, honorable ministers, members of parliament, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I bring you warm greetings from the people of Uganda. I am pleased to be here to confirm Uganda's commitment to the collaborative process on the elimination of the global health challenge of trafficking of substandard falsified medicines and other medical products. In one of our tribes, we say in the language which you will not understand, Obukorwatuwita Bukombera. This refers to the small animals that are part of the mongoose family of animals. They are small in size, but by combined action, which we call kombera in our language, they can kill a big cobra, a big snake. I therefore take this opportunity to appreciate with gratitude the invitation that His Excellency President Faure extended to us. I applaud the Brazzaville Foundation for its unwavering humanitarian commitment to eliminate the vice of drug trafficking in a bid to preserve the lives of Africans. After realizing political independence in most African countries by the late 1970s, the continent began preparing for another battle, economic emancipation. This led to the adoption of the Lagos Plan of Action by the heads of state and government who met in Nigeria in July 1980, which resulted in the birth of the regional economic communities, that is COMESA, ECOWAS, etc. The Lagos Plan of Action was developed as the continent's blueprint through which Africa could, based on the principle of collective self-reliance, achieve rapid economic and social development. Through this blueprint, Africa has continued efforts to overcome the persistent problems of underdevelopment. Although the regional blocs never work as well as they should, nevertheless, this is the only step in the right direction. The introduction of machines with the invention of the printing press by a German man called Johannes Gutenberg in the year 1438, the invention of the steam engine by another man called Thomas Savery in the year 1698. Later on, that steam engine was adopted by another man called Stephenson in the year 1812 to 1813, to the pulling of the train, meant that the era of the 4.5 million years since the evolution of the Homo sapiens sapien of the producing by the human muscle, the hoe, the machete, the handheld hammer, and by animal muscle, the horse, the donkey, the oxen, was now being replaced by the technology of producing by machines. Machines, unlike the human and beast muscle, operate more efficiently and produce on a mass scale. Once you produce on a mass scale, you must also handle the issue of the market. Who will buy what you produce and on a large scale? That is why the Lagos Plan of Action was correct. Its products, the regional economic communities, should be developed and perfected. It is good that they have evolved into the CFTA and the Abuja Treaty of 1991 before that. It should be streamlined, facilitated with infrastructure, and imbalances should be addressed. It is the only way to survive in the modern world. A strong and big market of Africa will enable us to credibly negotiate for market access with the other big markets of China, the USA, India, Japan, Russia, etc. Again, in that language of Africa, which people may not understand, it says, the one who invites you for a meal expects something in return. Similarly, I wish to thank the organizers of the Lome initiative for continuing the spirit of the Lagos Plan of Action. In Uganda, under the leadership of our movement, health has been one of the priority areas of focus as a prerequisite for economic development. We have continued to improve health services with emphasis on immunization and reproductive health programs, in addition to taking health services nearer to the people. We rehabilitated several health units, including the referral hospitals. Our focus now is on efficiency and effectiveness in delivery of health services, including increased availability of drugs and health services in line with the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, adopted by the United Nations General Assembly on the 25th of September 2015. Access to reliable, effective, quality, and affordable essential medicines, medical products, and vaccines is a vital element of the universal health coverage adopted in Agenda 2030. The most decisive health intervention we made was the introduction of the universal immunization in 1987. That is how the population of Uganda grew from 14 million at that time, 1987, to now 42 million. Achieving better goals has, however, been hampered by a number of challenges, including the trafficking of counterfeit, substandard, and falsified medicines and health products. This is a crime against humanity and a huge risk for countries all over the world. Every country must work individually and collectively to eliminate it as soon as possible. Why? Counterfeit medical products pose a considerable threat to human health and well-being worldwide, as has been described by a number of people here. Number one, they may cause harm to patients and fail to treat the diseases for which they were intended. Number two, they may lead to loss of confidence in the medicines by the population and the loss of confidence in healthcare providers and the health systems. Third, substandard and falsified medical products contribute to antimicrobial resistance and drug-resistant infections. In addition to the human cost of the counterfeit medicines, as you heard a number of people saying, many countries have realized that there has been the involvement of transnational organized crime in this traffic, and the increasing number of cases indicate that this, in turn, is financing terrorist activities, thus posing a serious concern to global security. Counterfeit medicines are smuggled onto the market using the same routes and techniques as drugs, weapons, and human trafficking. Therefore, this problem cannot be solved by the individual countries. We have also put in place the East African Community Medicines Harmonization Program under the East African Community and the African Medicines Agency under NEPAD. But despite these efforts, the problem of counterfeit medicines persists. Formulation of stringent regulatory mechanism, information sharing, and working together to combat the vice, which has been identified as one of the ways of tackling the drug trafficking, must be supported and implemented by all of us. The decisive call goes to all leaders on the continent to work together and form a system that is managed and regulated by ourselves. Additionally, we must invest in research and development of health-related technologies and promote innovation of new products where possible. Scientists on the continent must also collaborate on common health concerns, share expertise, and be financially supported to build capacity for production of quality and standard medicines rather than completely depending on sourcing drugs from outside. In so doing, we will safeguard the population, create jobs for the youth, and improve our economies, and also lower the cost of the medicines because African labor is cheaper. In Uganda, we are making some medicines, but we are still importing some inputs from China and India. So we end up by just assembling. Now the inputs we are importing from China and India are inputs which can be made in Uganda. These are mainly industrial grade starch, which we are going to make from cassava, but we are still sending money to China to bring starch, which is not very smart. Then there is the industrial grade sugar to make syrups. Again, we are still importing from outside. And so the drugs we make are still more expensive than they would be if we were using our inputs. And this is where companies from the West could come and really work with us so that we make drugs which are much cheaper and safer and from sure sources. I'm therefore here to support and join hands with our brothers and sisters of Ghana, Niger, Senegal, Togo, the Republic of the Congo, and the Brazzaville Foundation to launch the Lome Initiative, which aims at stemming the traffic in counterfeit medicines by introducing legislation to criminalize this traffic, impose tougher criminal penalties, and ensure vigorous enforcement of the legislation. I call upon all African countries to join in the initiative as we continue to push for shared socio-economic integration and transformation. I thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, President Museveni. We also have a saying in Wolof, which says, Jan tutina me dangar bang chibir, which means the snake might be small, but the whole strength is inside. And it's very important, as you did it, to communicate, as you say, in our local language. So thank you very much for putting also your leadership behind these initiatives.